Today is day 2 of our weaving project. We maybe only got a little ways down our loom last time, but today we'll have a nice long time to get a lot more progress. So if you wrapped an extra yarn around your loom, you can just unwrap it. And I actually didn't have a chance to tie these two together. So that's going to be the first thing that I do, is I have to connect my new piece of yarn to the old one that is almost used up. Now remember, when you are tying knots today, when you're adding new pieces, it's really helpful if you keep a long piece of yarn to weave onto. If you only have a little tiny short piece and you're trying to tie a knot, it's a lot more challenging. So just like we practiced, I'm going to make an X, loop it under and up to create the twisty part in the X. Pull these slightly so they're a little bit longer. And then I can do the same thing again. Cross to make an X, loop it under and up to create a twisty part, and then I'm going to pull those two twisty parts tight by pulling all 4 ends at the same time. Sometimes if I want my knot to be really strong, I'll make it a triple knot by doing the same step again. So cross, loop it under, and then pull. Remember, any type of knot that you can make is fine, as long as your new piece stays attached to the old piece. That's the only important thing. So now that they're tied together, gentle tug, they're staying put, I'm going to go to the end of my new piece, and I'm going to put on my needle so that I can start weaving. Remember, tying the yarn onto your needle is optional. Sometimes I just like to hold it like this. That way I don't have to untie the knots every time I want to get a new piece. So I'm just going to kind of hold mine in place. Now, I'm going to look where I left off. This blue one is underneath the white warp string. So that means when I come from this side, I have to do the opposite pattern. So if this blue one is under, that means I have to start over with my needle. Over, under, over, under, over, under. Pulling it through. And bump that knot through gently. There we go. I'm also going to make sure that I'm pushing my weaving up so that you can't really see the warp threads anymore. Those white threads are supposed to be kind of hidden. I ended under again, so I'm going to start over. Over, under, over, under, over, under. And pull it all the way through. One thing I want you to pay close attention to today when you're pulling your yarn through is you don't want to pull too tight. Watch what happens to my warp string when I pull it too tight. Do you see how much it moved over? If you keep pulling it super tight like that every time, eventually your weaving is going to get really skinny in the middle. And some people don't like the way that looks. And also, it's kind of hard to weave when all of these threads are so smushed together. So what I do is every single time I do a row, I kind of check. I even kind of pull out the yarn a little bit to make sure that it is not too tight. Over, under, over, under, over, under. Pull it through, but not too tight. And I give it a little gentle pull backwards. Now, if you kind of pay attention to that every time, it will really keep your weaving from getting skinny in the middle. However, if you forget and you pull it too tight for a bunch of rows, it's kind of hard to back it up and get it spaced out again. So you have to make sure that you do it every time you do a row, if that makes sense. If you squeeze it tight for a long time, it doesn't really get loose again, or it's very challenging to get it pulled back out again. So I'm just making sure with each row that I do that I'm just pulling until it's gently touching that string without making it move at all. And I'm just going to keep on going until this thread is all used up. Just like this. Now I could probably get another row with this pink yarn, but I'm not going to because I want to save this long piece to tie on my new knot. So I'm going to get a new color from the yarn area, arm's length, and I'm going to tie my two new pieces together. Pretty soon you'll get kind of quick at tying knots for this project. And then I'm just going to keep on going. Put my needle on the end. So that I can start weaving with my new yellow piece.